having an extra day grace period? When it comes to overdrafts, you can with Wells Fargo.
So many hotels.
Trouble booking the family vacay? Come on. Comfort us free hot breakfast for the whole fam.
They have waffles.
And splendid pools. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
No matter where you live, no matter where you are. From the station that's on your side, News 12, first at 5, continues.
A 15-year-old is in critical condition tonight on a ventilator and fighting for her life after a car crash near Greenbrier High School. It happened yesterday morning right here at the intersection of Riverwood Parkway and General Wood Parkway.
Columbia County deputies say a 16-year-old driver was trying to make a left-hand turn and hit an SUV with Allison Lilly inside. Now, Lilly was not wearing a seatbelt and sustained head injuries, including a brain bleed.
In total, 3 teenagers were involved in this crash, and all 3 are part of Greenbrier's cross-country team.
Yeah, Hallie Turner is live at the high school now, and Hallie, the cross-country team is fully standing behind Allison.
They are, and when one hurts, they all hurt. And while not much has changed out here outside of the school, inside, students are taking the support to the next level. The cross-country team Instagram made a post this morning asking Wolfpack students to please wear the color purple in honor of Allison and the Lilly family. They ended the post with a new hashtag, Run for Allison. A post last night announced that even though their season does start tomorrow, they're dedicating it to Allison and hope that she will be able to return next season. And coming up all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're speaking with those in the community who are standing by this family in prayer and support.
And it will absolutely be an emotional moment at tomorrow's cross-country meet if that meet goes on. Thank you, Hallie, for keeping us updated with that. And on Facebook, a 17-year-old Bethany Lilly says that she has a broken rib. Police reports say that Monica Cannington had scrapes from her seatbelt. Those 2 and Allison were all in the same car during that crash. And, of course, we'll keep you updated as we learn more with Allison's condition.
And exit 190. Have an update on some hotter temps the rest of the week and also a little bit better storm chances by this weekend in just about 10 minutes.
All right, thank you, Riley. Developing this evening, we're learning a Wagner Sally High School teacher is hurt after power lines fell on them. Now, this happened around 12:30 on Main Street North in Wagner today. South Carolina Highway Patrol says the teacher was walking along Main Street when a tractor trailer struck overhead power lines, causing those power lines to fall on the teacher. Now, this teacher was airlifted to Augusta University. No word yet on their condition. Wagner Sally High School canceling tomorrow's open house because of this incident. No word yet on when or if it will be rescheduled.
We're learning more this evening about a dog that attacked a local vet so badly that she was hospitalized. Last week, co-workers at Springwood Veterinarian Clinic in Hepzibah say that Dr. Emily Martin was trying to sedate a dog that was known to be aggressive. Now that dog, Dozer, is in quarantine with Burt County Animal Services, and Burt County confirms that Dozer is involved in at least one other incident in Aiken County. All new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock. Our Cindy Hood takes a closer look at everything we know so far.
Dozer, of course, none of the dogs in that video you just saw. A man is facing charges after police say he tried to burn down a house with 6 people inside. This happening last night in North Augusta along Woodland Drive. Authorities say the suspect got into a fight with the people inside, then began breaking windows. They say the suspect then grabbed a pot, filled it with gasoline, and began to pour it on the porch, yelling, quote, "I am going to burn this house down." The suspect was detained shortly after and is charged with arson and malicious injury to property.
What are your thoughts on renaming the Augusta Riverwalk? On September 6th, there will be a public hearing on renaming the Riverwalk after former Mayor Ed McIntyre, Augusta's first black mayor. But Dan Funch, a commission regular, says this is a bad idea because McIntyre was also a convicted felon for extorting and drawing comparisons to former Commissioner Sammy Sias.
We just went through with the commission on the unnaming of Sammy Sias Way because he was convicted of a felony and, in fact, I think just yesterday reported to prison.
And all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, our city reporter Craig Allison takes a closer look at how your tax dollars are being spent on Augusta's Riverwalk.
Banning any discussion on gender in your child's school. That's what state lawmakers are after in Georgia.
Reporter Abby Casoris found out parents feel strongly both for and against this measure.
People took off work, drove for hours, some even skipped school to be here at the Capitol today because this bill will impact their lives and the lives of their children. Some parents were in tears.
Transgender youth are already very vulnerable.
Republican Senator Cardin Summers sponsored Senate Bill 88, which he calls the Parents and Children's Protection Act, requiring parental permission for school employees before discussing other gender identities with students under the age of 16.
I don't care if it's their children, your children, or my children. It's not the responsibility of the person in charge to teach these kids what they feel is right when it comes to gender.
The American Psychological Association reports that 80% of transgender adults report knowing they were different as early as elementary school. Jordan Black says her 7-year-old son is the first transgender child in his Gwinnett County school.
And if Georgia teachers are unable to interact with my child in the full expression of who he is, my child will go to school feeling isolated and afraid.
Democrat Senator Sonia Halpern says she doesn't think the bill prioritizes protecting children at all and puts teachers in the line of attack.
Are we no longer in agreement that teachers are also helping to teach our kids belonging and social, emotional, and reasoning?
Today's meeting was pretty unusual. It was hearing only. No action was taken. Senator Summers plans on presenting this bill when the General Assembly reconvenes in January. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Casoris.
Are you a registered organ donor? Just ahead, why experts say we need donors from all ethnicities in order to help save lives. Riley?
And we are seeing brief relief from the heat today, but temperatures are going to be going up as we head later into the week. While that full forecast next. Way over Hispaniola today, and then Gert's just a tropical wave that should fizzle out over the next day or so. We are keeping an eye on these two systems that are in the open Atlantic, so no name to these just yet, but whether the National Hurricane Center is expecting at least one of those to become a named storm over the next 2 to 7 days. So we'll keep an eye on that, but luckily no real risk to us here in the CSRA. Once we get past the weekend, those temperatures finally do cool off a little bit next week. We should drop down into the low 90s next Tuesday and Wednesday, and definitely a better chance for those afternoon storms.
All right, thanks, Riley. Are you an organ donor? According to data from LifeLink, one donor can save or improve the lives of up to 75 people.
But there is an important distinction there. Experts say that while transplants can be successful no matter the ethnicity, the chance of longer-term survival might be higher if the donor and recipient are closely matched in terms of genetic background.
Taylor Martin takes a look at the importance of minority donation and misconceptions surrounding the process.
In Georgia, only 35% of the overall population are registered organ donors, but you could be the change if you sign up to save a life. In 2019, Scott Kelly's battle with cystic fibrosis came down to life or death.
It got to the point where I needed a double lung transplant if I was going to live.
According to LifeLink, 43% of people in Columbia County are registered donors, with African Americans making up for about 20% of the population, while 24% who live in Richmond County are registered, with African Americans making up more than 55% of the population. It's a number they're working to raise by breaking down the stigma around organ donation.
There's a lot of misconceptions with the healthcare, the mistrust of the healthcare system, and we need to make sure they understand organ donation, the people who do organ donation are completely separate from the doctors who are in the hospital working to save your life.
It's why William Bailey spends his time volunteering to raise awareness for organ donation, sharing the story of how a liver donation saved his life.
I've had 4 Christmases and 4 Thanksgivings with my family that I've never had. I've had birthdays with grandkids that would have never had. And get a little choked up thinking about that.
Working to clarify misconceptions.
If they know I'm an organ donor and I wind up in an accident, they're not going to try to save me. That's not true. The organ procurement people, they don't even know that you're an organ donor until you've been declared dead.
They're hoping to help save more lives by encouraging people to become donors like the people who saved theirs.
So he wanted to donate them because he knew that somebody would do good for him. And I'm here today because of Stephen's kind heart.
If you'd like to find out more information information on organ donation or how you could sign up to be an organ donor yourself, we'll have more information on our website, wrdw.com. Reporting in Augusta, Taylor Martin, on your side.
First, the good news, robocalls are down. The bad news, scammers are using text messages now instead. I'm Jamie Tucker. You probably already knew that. Coming up, I'm going to show you how to block them.
And up to $700 on Tempur-Pedic, plus up to $700 on Purple, and get $300 in Ashley cash, only at Ashley.
A new report shows Americans are getting fewer robocalls, but the number of spam texts, that is rising to record levels. It's costing Americans more than $13 billion this year alone.
Our consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker takes a look at ways to stop them from filling up your inbox.
Every day I get text messages asking if I want to sell my house, if I'm missing free money from the government, and why a package I didn't order can't be delivered. Now, we may recognize these as spam texts, but we can't ignore them. The FCC hampered the use of robocalls by requiring the cellular carriers to block calls from unverified numbers. And earlier this year, the FCC fined a notorious robocalling company $300 million. So many scammers stopped calling and started texting, not only to avoid being caught, but text messages are a better option to reach us. You can hang up or ignore a robocall, but a robo-text is always delivered and almost always read. But there are a few things you can do. In your phone settings, look for messages and then filter unknown senders. You'll still receive the text, but it won't show up in the list of messages from your contacts. Don't click a link or reply with the word stop. It only tells the spammer your phone number is working. If you tap report as junk on an iPhone, you're reporting the number to both Apple and your cellular carrier. You should also report the spam text to the FCC by holding down the message until you see a list of options. Choose more, then forward that text to the number 7726 or spam. The FCC says it will go after robo-texters the same way it did robo-callers, but remember, it took years before the number of robo-calls actually started to drop. So for now, it is up to us to block and report spam text messages. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
And the FCC warns that spam text messages will likely increase in the next year.
Great.
Well, week 2 of the high school football season kicks off tomorrow. That's great.
Yeah, that is great.
Some of our local teams have a chance to jump out to a quick 2-0 start.
Augusta Christian is one of those teams, and News 12 Sports Director Dan Booth joins us now to tell us how the Lions plan to build on their performance in Week 1.
Week 1, the Augusta Christian Lions kicked off their season with an impressive win on the road against Ridge Spring Minetta. Now, the Lions' offense was roaring up and down the field in Week 1. Their passing game was quick, decisive, on time, and helped create multiple explosive plays, which helped lead them to score 34 points against the Trojans. Quarterback and 4-star kicker Wilson Donnelly had no problem getting the ball out to his receivers in space, allowing them to do some damage with their legs and use their speed to work their way into the end zone.
It was awesome to know that all the work we put in all summer long paid off. Energy this week has been great, fueling off that win. So we're just hoping to keep that rolling.
One thing I talked to the guys about is, hey, you don't got to be special to do nothing special. Just trust in the system, trust in your read, to get those guys the ball, man, and let them do what they do. We have some guys, man, that at any given moment, we can have a guy that can take it to the house.
On Friday, the Lions will look to pick up their second win on the new campaign when they hit the road to take on Bullock Academy. Shifting gears to the WNBA, in last night's game between the Las Vegas Aces and the Atlanta Dream, former national champion with the South Carolina Gamecocks and reigning WNBA MVP Asia Wilson scored 53 points, tying the WNBA's single-game record. Wilson shot 70% from the field and scored exactly half of her team's points in the Aces' 112-100 win. Asia Wilson is now only the third player in WNBA history to score 50 points in a single game. High-profile athletes around the world of sports reacting to Asia Wilson's historic night. LeBron James being one of them. Wilson was wearing LeBron's new shoes and he says that those nice kicks didn't have anything to do with her skills on the court and her ability to dominate that game.
right, thanks for that, Dan. Looking ahead over the next couple of days, we're back to near average tomorrow, then seeing those highs back near 100 Friday and Saturday. Now look at the full 7-day for you just after a quick break.
When you